Editing, revising, rewriting, is it all the same? What are the different types of edits? And why should you know what each type of edit really is all about, especially if you're planning to work with a professional editor, which I hope you do. Let's talk about editing so that you don't make the same mistakes that I did. Hi, I'm Pooja Mohan. I'm an indie author, aka a self-published author, working to self-publish my 7th book, and welcome to my writing studio. Let me preface this by saying that everything I'm talking about in these videos is based on my knowledge of the industry and my experience so far. There is a lot of information available on the internet, and I urge you to do your own research before you make a decision about what is the right option for you. Alright then. This is the second video in a 5-part series on editing for authors who are considering self-publishing. If you missed the first video, I'll make sure to link it below in the description. Revising, rewriting, editing. Is it all the same? Well, for me, it's not. When it comes to revising, how I look at it is making changes to the content, the idea, the style of the writing piece. For example, I fast drafted 3 books in a month, and then I went back and revised it for weeks and months. What I did was go back to the manuscript, add in details, fill in the spaces that I left while drafting because I needed to do some research, or I didn't quite know how things would pan out. So I just left a bare bone of the beat in the draft, and then I went back during revisions and fleshed it out more. Rewriting for me is more on the lines when you are making big changes in the story and the structure of the writing piece. So to give you an example, I'm working on a manuscript called The Rajput. I'm rewriting it for the 3rd time. I'm taking the same set of people and sequence of events and rearranging things. And every time I rewrite, there is a bunch of things that gets deleted and a bunch of things that gets added in. There are slight changes in the way the story progresses. Overall, the core events remain the same, but some subplots or some events have been moved around, some that happened later in the story, but to make the pacing of the story better, I had to move it forward. Some things I had to just let go of completely. So I literally rewrote the whole story a couple of times. Right now it's the 3rd time I'm working on the rewrites. Editing for me, I understand it as going in depth into the writing piece. It can be intensive, like in the case of developmental edits, or it can be more substantive, where whatever you've written, you're now polishing it, making sure that the grammar, the syntax, the flow of the content is smooth and the story makes sense as a whole. Grammar is correct, punctuation is correct, dialogue tags are good, POV and tenses, they are consistent, the world building is consistent, your characters are consistent in their looks, in their behavior, and as well as proofreading. Now, before I get into the details of the types of edits, I'd like to know which phase of self-editing you are at. Let me know in the comments below. I am in different phases for my different writing projects. Yes, I have multiple projects that I'm working on. If you're interested in knowing more about my writing projects, let me know in the comments below. Maybe I can share more about it in a video. There are some sources that will give you 9 or 12 different types of edits, and then there are some sources that will give you just 2. For me, I look at 4 different types of edits as important: the developmental edits, line edits, copy edits, and proofreading. Developmental edit is when you look at the big picture. You refine your idea, you fix any holes in your plot, in your subplot, your characters are consistent. If there is any inconsistencies in your world building, you fix those things. Basically, you check to see whether the story as a whole is working. This is the first type of editor that you'll hire before going on working on your story in detail. You can hire a professional editor to help you with developmental edits, or you can have a writer friend who has the eye for this type of edit and can help you out with developmental edits. It's also one of the most expensive type of edits that I know of. In developmental edits, what you'll get is a detailed summary of what is working and what is not working with your manuscript, along with the annotated manuscript. In India, there aren't many places that offer you this type of editing service. It's usually common in traditional publishing. I don't have any personal experience with traditional publishing. As you know, I'm a self-published author, so I'm not going to go into details of that. What I can share is that you have to rely heavily on networking if you want this type of edit. Most authors don't share about this type of edit, and I personally don't know anyone who has recommended me an editor who can do this type of edit for a self-published author. Even the editors that I know don't offer this type of edit because it's very expensive. So it's unlikely that anyone is going to spend a lot of money on developmental edit because it can go up to 80,000 and even more. I know I don't have that kind of money to invest in editing for each book. I usually like to take advantage of workshops that help you with developing your story, or I tap in a friend of mine who reads in the genre that I write. I can bounce off my story with her and she asks a lot of questions that help me develop the story. Now, when I talk about amount and give you figures, please take it with a pinch of salt. This is just my experience and my research. You may find editors who may offer you the same edit for a much lesser price, but it's good to remember that you'll get what you pay for, and you should know that what you're being charged for is right and no one is overcharging you and taking advantage of you. I'll talk more about these things in the coming videos in this series. Line edit is basically going line by line and making sure that your story makes sense and your style is consistent and clear. If you've read a book with a good premise but was not delivered quite right, it's probably because the line edit was not done or was not done well. Now here is the thing, I have personal experience with line edits. Around 4.5 years ago, when I first published my book, I had no idea what type of editing my work needed, which was line edits, and the book was a big mess. In the 4th video of this series, I'll be talking more about how to figure out what type of edit your work needs. So keep an eye out for that video. Make sure your notification is turned on and it's turned to all so that you don't miss out when that video goes up. Copy edit is the most common type of edit, and it's what most of the editing services and editors in India provide. In my opinion, it's fairly priced. It may range between 20 to 70,000 depending on the genre, the quality of manuscript, the experience of the editor, and a lot of other things. In my 4th video, I'll also be going into detail about what to expect from your editor for each type of edit, what most of the editors include in the services, and what red flags to look for. So I won't go into all that in this video. Coming back to copy editing, the end result that you want from a copy edit is that your manuscript should be as readable as possible. So your prose, grammar, punctuation, everything should be looked at. The editor should make sure that the tense is consistent. I know my manuscript usually suffers from this. The last type of edit is proofreading. It is the last stage of the editing process. It'll take care of any inconsistencies in your spelling, style, layout, typography, word break, page breaks, page numbers. Usually you'll send your proofreader the ready to publish manuscript. You don't want to have any line edits or copy edits done once you've sent your manuscript to your proofreader. Typically, I get a couple of people to do proofreading for me before I send it to my professional proofreader. If you have people in your life who love to point out mistakes in your text messages, those are the people you want to call in a favor for when it comes to proofreading. Now, of course, there's a lot of other details that you need to familiarize yourself with for each type of edit that I spoke of. So please do a thorough research. Now, coming to what I said earlier about why should you know what each type of edit really is all about, especially if you're planning to work with a professional editor. Each type of edit may go by a different name or the definition may overlap. So you need to have a clear understanding of different types of edits, especially when working with a professional editor, they may use a different term for the type of edit that you want. So you need to understand clearly what they are saying when they say a particular type of edit that they'll be willing to do for you. There are a lot of horror stories where the writer was expecting some type of editing and the editor actually landed up doing a completely different type of edit for them, and it was too late, money is gone, time is gone. You don't want to find yourself in that kind of a situation. The first professional editor that I've ever worked with taught me a lot of things about what to expect when you're working with a professional editor, what is included, how the whole process is done. So I'm very grateful to my first editor for teaching me so much. But the biggest lesson that I learned from that experience was to know what type of edit your work really needs. You may think you can do with a copy edit, but your work may really need a line edit or even a developmental edit. I'll go more in detail about this in the coming videos about how to know what type of edit your work needs, how to hire a professional editor, how to work with them. But for now, I want to emphasize on the importance of mutually going over the type of edits that you are expecting and the editor is going to do for you. You have to make sure that your definition of the edit and your professional editor's definition of the edit coincides. You don't want to find yourself in a situation where the edit which you paid for is not what you've gotten. It's too late to hire another editor or to work with the same editor. You might land up paying more. Most editors book months in advance, so you might not find a good editor in time. You might have to compromise with the quality of edits or land up paying extra for a quick turnaround. You may have to push your deadlines and even your release date. And trust me, you don't want to be in that position. You don't want to put yourself through that stress. I'll cover exactly how to avoid this in my last video of the series. So for now, this is all about the types of edits. I hope this video encourages you to work with a professional editor. They can make a big difference to your manuscript. As a self-published author, I feel this is the one place that you should consider investing in. Treat this video as a starting point in your research. In this video, I share with you why I self-edit before I send my manuscript to a professional editor. And if you're new to self-publishing, check out this playlist. And I'll see you in the next one.